Jan, back at it again with another nerdy bookish video. I don't know what that was. I just took like 2 sips of coffee. Oh, I got a haircut today, about 2 hours ago. Don't know how to act. Anyway, point of this video today is my May wrap up. I need to start doing these earlier in the next month, and the month after, the month following, you know what I mean? Because it's June 16th now, and I'm doing my May wrap up. But it's fine, we're getting better. Last month I did it like freaking May 30th or something, so this month I read 10 books, which was my goal, so that's cool. I got my first 2 arcs, like ebook arcs, but we'll talk about that later. Okay, the first book I read is Skinny by, I'm gonna butcher this name, Evie Caslick. I've seen this book around since I was in like high school, but I never read it until now because my friend Allison gave it to me. Gave this 2 stars. I have my bullet journal down there as usual with the ratings and everything, so that's why I'm looking down there. Anyway, 2 stars. It was a pretty fast read because the chapters were so short, and I enjoyed the concept. It was interesting to me to read about someone who had an eating disorder, who has anorexia, because I love everything mental health related and things like that. It was good in the beginning when she was like talking about the eating disorder and how she copes with it and how her family copes with it and everything. But then it just like got all over the place, and I don't know, it was a weird like layout of a book, and it had like random textbook facts that like I didn't really understand why the author thought it would like contribute to the story in any way. I don't know. There's that. The next book I read, I'll have a picture somewhere as usual, was Every Heart a Doorway by Shannon McGuire. It's the first of the Wayward Children series, I think that's what it's called. 3 stars. I was interested in it in the beginning, and then the end was fine, but I knew going into it that these books are super short. I think they're less than 200 pages, so it seems like as soon as you get to know the characters, that's when the story ends. The pacing was just off, I guess. That's why it's 3 stars for me, but the concept is interesting. These children are from all these different worlds, and they go to this boarding school, and they're trying to get accustomed to the real world again. Like the main character is from the underworld, and she's trying to get back into the real world type of thing. I also enjoyed the fact that it had transgender representation. One of the characters was transgender. Third book I read was Girl Wash Your Face by, shoot, what's her freaking name? I don't remember her name. I gave that one 4 stars. I listened to it on audio. I listened to Every Heart a Doorway on audio too. I don't think I said that. I really enjoyed it. Her like little anecdotes and how she became a girl boss were really interesting, and she had a lot of good pieces of advice that stuck with me. I was listening to it while I was at work doing a floor set, so it was like an all-day type thing, so I finished it really quickly. It would have been 5 stars if there weren't a lot of parenting chapters, just because I couldn't relate, so that's not her fault or anything, obviously. So 4 stars for that one. It's a good one. I finally got around to reading it. I've been wanting to since it was like a huge trend in the self-help book world, but I didn't get to it till now. So the next book I read, 5 freaking stars. City of Girls by Elizabeth Gilbert. Okay, I've mentioned this before. Elizabeth Gilbert is a writing goddess. I love her. I loved Eat, Pray, Love. I just love her. Like, she's just such a phenomenal writer, and this was no exception. So this book is set, I was really into historical fiction this month. I don't know why, but this book I actually buddy read with my friend Trish. She finished it way before me because she couldn't stop because it's that good. And we both missed the live show, I'm pretty sure, that we read the book for because it was like there was gonna be a live show with Elizabeth Gilbert through Lululemon, and Trish works for Lululemon, so I was like, let's buddy read it, and it didn't work out too well, but it was fun discussing it with her. Anyways, this book is about this girl, Vivian, went to New York, and she stayed with her aunt who owns a theater, and she just throws herself into the New York City nightlife, basically. But she came to New York a virgin, not partying, nothing, and then she hangs out with all these showgirls at the theater, and they just go wild, basically. And it's so good, and it reminds me so much of The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. If you haven't read that, that's one of my favorite books of all time. Recommend it to everyone. This is super similar, and I love that it's written by Elizabeth Gilbert. I highlighted all over this book. I'll definitely reread this at some point. It goes by so quickly too. You get into all these adventures, there's like deeper stuff to it, and like finding herself. We love a good coming of age book. I say this in like every video. And then, like I said, I was super into historical fiction in May for some reason. This book. This is the next book I read, Lovely War by Julie Berry. I heard about this book from Haley in Bookland. I'm sure everyone who watches her has heard about this book from her. She raves about it in like almost every video since she's read it. Oh my god, this book is beautiful. I tried to read it as slowly as I could because it's so good. Like the writing from the first page, I had stuff highlighted because it's just such good writing. I can't wait to read anything Julie Berry writes after this. So, sorry. This is a historical fiction romance in World War II, I believe. Maybe World War I. You would think I know this. Why is this so hard for me? I don't know. But basically, there's two different love stories and then the girls become friends. The unique part about this book is that it's narrated by Greek gods. And it's so well done. You can tell they're gods like from their witty banter. So the love scenes are narrated by Aphrodite, and then when you switch to like war scenes, the way they do it is they change the narrator to like Ares, which is god of war. And it was beautiful. 5 freaking stars. I love this book. I'll reread this eventually too. Pulled my heartstrings, broke my heart a couple times, made my jaw drop. I love this book. I love, love, love this book. Like, this is definitely in my top 10 of 2020. For sure, both of these. City of Girls and this. Oof. The next book I got is called Don't Wait, I don't even remember. Don't Wait Till I Die to Love Me, and I gave it 2 stars. So on Goodreads, the author actually hit me up. He DM'd me and asked me for an honest review in exchange for an ebook of his book, an e-copy of his book. It's just like a collection of poetry, and it was not great. And I gave him my honest review, and then he got all defensive. So it's just like, if you ask for an honest review, like, take the criticism, you know? Like, I wasn't bashing on it. I still gave like respect to the fact that it was vulnerable, like all the poetry. You could tell it's from the heart. It just like wasn't written in a way that I think was done well. I stated that in my review because there were like so many unnecessary wordy phrases, and a lot of the poems were poems that they were similar to poems I wrote in high school. My camera's dying soon, so I gotta make this quick. Next book is called Finding Self by the previous author's wife. So I actually requested this ebook in exchange for an honest review because she was like offering it on her Instagram. So I was like, okay, let me check his wife's writing out. It was better. It was a self-help book. I was expecting poetry too, but it wasn't. It wasn't the greatest writing, and it was as vulnerable as her husband's poems. It was just more concise, more coherent. I don't know. I gave it 3 stars. It was just about, you know, finding yourself and self-love and her stories from her childhood and what made her who she is today, how she coped with like bullies and everything. So it was a good read. Next book I read, I finally finished, The Towering Sky by Katharine McGee. Ooh, this is the finale of the Thousand Floor trilogy. So this series takes place in futuristic New York. It's in like, I think year like 2300 or something like that. I don't know, but it's so good. There's so much drama. It's literally like futuristic Gossip Girl, like with illegal mind computers and hover things, rich people. It's just a great time. I don't know why I even checked. That was definitely 5 stars. Yeah, so I don't know. No, I know why it took me so long to read. It's because I had it on my phone and it was an ebook, which is so hard for me to read off a screen. But yeah, that took me like a couple months to finish because I would read like 6 books at a time and then always keep putting that one off. The next book I read is When Breath Becomes Air by Paul something. I forgot his name, but I listened to it on audio because Jen M on YouTube has a book club called Curl Up Club, and this month's book was When Breath Becomes Air, and I just found it this past month. So I was like, okay, let me read the book to see they have like discussions about it and stuff, then I can like, you know, participate somehow maybe on Instagram or whatever. But yeah, it was about this, I think he was a neurosurgeon, and so he like threw his life into his practice, right? Like he was so passionate about it. Like he talked about the medical field and the procedures and everything and what he had to go through, and going through no sleep for days at a time, and then he gets cancer and he couldn't even finish the book. His wife had to finish it. The epilogue was really good. His wife's a really good writer. It was heart-wrenching, like listening to stories about patients dying and like making decisions with their families and stuff. So it was definitely an emotional read. I didn't get into it as much as I thought I would, probably because I listened to it at work a lot of the time, but the ending was really good and I think it was well written. I listened to it on audio, like I said, so I feel like maybe if I read it physically it'd be a different experience. But yeah, 3 stars for me. Last book I read in May was Eleanor Oliphant, I think that's how you say it, her name, Oliphant, is Completely Fine. Oh my god, I've been wanting to read this book for the past like year and a half. I bought it last year at some point, but I never got around to it. I was just feeling like a quick, quirky main character type story, like discovering herself. So I was like, ooh, perfect. Haven't read this one yet, and it's been on my shelf for a while. So finally picked it up, and 5 freaking stars. I love this so much. It was so funny. The author made the character have such a vast vocabulary that it made it so funny. Like, she would describe daily activities in the most like complicated way that it was hilarious. It's such an intelligent story. There's also like a deeper underlying story to it on why she has social anxiety and her tough relationship with her mother. And there's like a romance, and she's trying to chase this rock star guy who doesn't even know she exists, and she gets into all these crazy things trying to impress him when he doesn't even know her, and it's so good. I recommend this so hard. Went through it so fast. This one's definitely in my top 10 of 2020. I read some good books in the first half of this year. I'll definitely reread this too. A lot of the things were really relatable in terms of how she feels anxious and depressed. I feel like all that mental health representation was really well done. So that was the last book I read in May. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day and stay safe and stay positive always. Bye!